After Joanne, we have the CEO of Kenix. We've been told about looking for investors. Is that okay? So, and trying to tap into opportunities. So, he's going to talk to us briefly. Then we will have an interactive session here, whereby you will ask them questions and see how you can tap into what they have. Is that okay? So, why don't we give a round of applause to the CEO of Kenix as he takes the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon again. Mine is just going to be very short. I'll just dovetail into what Joanne talked about just now in terms of how you want to be investor ready. I was asked to talk about online presence, so I'll give a few thoughts about that, and then I'll let the panel, then we can have question and answers after that. So, I try to be I try to be a teacher at times. So I'll ask questions and I hope I'll get some answers. Sawa? Sawa? All right. How many of you have an online CV? One? Okay, there's a couple. Why did you make an online CV? I can help you. Just one or two questions, two answers.
I think I did that because nowadays searches of persons are done online.
One more answer.
Okay, I believe with an online CV you can be able to reach very many people compared to the physical one, the hard copy.
Okay, that man looks like he wants to say something hot.
Okay, in terms of online CV, we live in a global village, whereby we need everything to be digital. So I offer online CV.
Okay. So let me give you the reality of why I asked that question. As employers, we no longer look at your hard copy CV. Okay? We get it, you apply, we shortlist you, but we also go and see what you've been doing online. Okay? So how many of you are on Instagram? Few. Facebook? It's becoming more. Twitter? Even more. Which other one? Snapchat? Yeah? All these platforms, which ones? Right? We go there. We actually go there and check what you've been posting, what you've been talking about. And we check if you are a person who can be in our culture, in our organization. So we check. So the thing you write on your, you give us first class honors, that's good, right? But in the global village today, everyone has a first class honors. What else makes you move above that other person in the interview level? It is how you converse. So for those of you on Twitter, you know that group, KOT, Nigerians versus Kenyans, Kenyans versus South Africans, we track. And why do we track? Because we don't want some of the things that you post there to bring them to our organization, right? You might be the best candidate on CV, but what you talk in other circles also matters for us. So why am I talking about this, and why is this important for us? When you're creating an online presence, be very careful what you put out there. Because what you put is what people consume, right? So as I was asked to talk about online presence, mine is to ask you guys, when you're talking about stuff and you're posting, Kwanza guys of Facebook, it's complicated. What does it's complicated mean, right? I was in a relationship, right? That is your life that you're showing everyone else. And it's not bad, by the way. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad. Yes, but you also need to be careful about what you're posting online. Now, why am I bringing this conversation to you? As Kenik, the first thing we always do, our business is domain registration. So, .co.ke, .ke, that is us. We're the ones who give you the first level to get onto an online presence. Now, our recommendation to the youth, and this is why we partner with Alphonse and his team, is for you guys to start creating your own personalized presence online. Your own website, your own web page, where people can actually come and understand who is Joel, right? So that when you're talking to people, these days, have you ever gone for an interview where you shock the interviewers by not giving them a CV, you give them a flash disk? Who has ever done that? Try it in your next interview. Tell them, I don't have a CV, please see me. Or you tell them, do you guys have a screen? Put it up, joel.me.ke. That is me. This is the person you interview. I'm giving you different ways to look for an interview or look for a job. It's how people are moving on in life, right? It's too competitive out there. How many of us here have degrees or are finishing our degrees? Hands up again. So what would make you different when you go into that interview panel? Right? There's some things you can do differently. And one is being online. And ensuring what you post online is the right things that you're posting. So with Alphonse and team, one of the things that we've recommended is for you guys to get a domain name. And I would recommend something called .me.ke, which would be really something written www.joel.me.ke. So it talks about you. It's about your profile. It's about what you do and how you do it. Once you get in there, then you make sure that you're always communicating the right things. You're always positioning yourself for the next level. As Joanne said, how do you make yourself investor ready? How do you make yourself attractive? Do you go to the Lion's Den? How many of us have a chance to go to the Lion's Den? Maybe, maybe not. But where else can you position yourself? And the only other place you can position yourself is online, or in a meeting such as this, where you come and network with people. So my recommendation to you guys, and what I plead with you, get online, get a .ke address, because you're Kenyan. .ke is Kenyan. It is yours. It is not for any other person. How many of you are on gmail.com? Everyone, eh? Why? Because it's free? Probably, yes. Okay. So what if I gave you an offer today to go back there and get a domain name? Right? A .me.ke. And I can do that offer, and Alphonse will probably announce what the offer is for today. But what I'm saying is, get online, put your presence out there, ensure that people know you, ensure that you're putting the right information on that system, and you're able to then be part of this global village that we are talking about. So that is just my starting points, and I know we'll converse as we go along, but I encourage you from today, your presence starts now. Get online, go to one of those tents there. There's a Kenik tent, there's a Oracom tent. Pay, get your domain name right there. Names are there. You can put all your 4 names or 5 names and create your presence and start that today. Thank you very much.
Good. Maybe as Ken is sitting down, I know young people, we have the potential. Is it so? But at times you realize that I come to Kenix, I buy the domain name, but I don't know how to put it in a way that it attracts investors or the employer. Do Kenix offer such opportunities to young people whereby they teach these young people, this is how you should put it and all that? So maybe you can respond to that, but before you respond, do we have questions? Or as he responds, we'll be able to pick 2-3 questions, then we come back to them. Maybe you can respond to that.
I'll just respond to that quickly. From my office, I will not be able to do that for you, but that's why I have partners such as MK today. They are the ones who are able to actually create for you a presence that matters for you. What do you want to communicate? Am I a musician? Yes. Mm-hmm. They'll do for you videos, they'll record, they'll put you online. Mm-hmm. Am I someone who's doing a hustle? I was shown about food truck. Mm-hmm. Food truck, and the people from food truck, thank you first for being on .co.ke. Yes. Mm-hmm. But how do you then create that presence online? So they can actually put this flyer that I've gotten today onto an online platform that ensures that people can know about you and can see you. So we have partners who we call registrars such as Oracle to be able now to give you that presence that you're looking for.
Good. Isaac, you're doing something on governance, and Joanne talked about governance in our small projects. Because at times young people think governance is all about the government and all that. but they forget that it starts from within yourselves. Maybe you can tell us what you do and the role that young people can play within themselves.
Thank you. Yeah, from the part of governance, majorly I handle the aspect of leadership and governance, and just positioning ourselves that it has been a cliche in terms of the opportunities that the youth have for the future, vis-a-vis what the exact steps we are taking to be part of the future that we want. So out of that, then my key things when it comes to matters of leadership and governance, one is picking up from where our speaker was in terms of mentorship. As a youth person, in your career that you are, in the opportunities that you are looking for, be it in business, be it in leadership, be it in career, whom have you been intentional enough to identify who your mentors are? And if at all you have identified yourself who mentors are, it is one thing to identify so-and-so as your mentor, but then it is another thing to create the time to follow through. It's another thing to create the opportunity whereby then you are able to sit under the guidance or the tutelage of this person and tap into what he's able to build unto you about. Then also another thing that matters governance is we keep on complaining about opportunities matters leadership going to the older generation. But then when we have an introspection of ourselves, as John F. Kennedy says, do not ask what the country has done to you, but what have you done for the country. When we ask ourselves critical questions about what has been our role in our small, from the smallest opportunity that we have as a people, what has been our role in enhancing, one, putting our skills at work, two, being part of the change that we want to be, and three, what has been our role in offering ourselves for duty to the nation.
Good. We were told in the morning, vijana ni kujituma, si ndio? Vijana ni kujituma. Maybe Ibrahim, you can tell us, because I see you run Vihiga Youth in Business, and I mean, vijana watajituma. Oh, he's the one who's okay. Vijana ni kujituma kivipi? Because at times tutaambiwa kujituma, and to be honest with you, and if you ask these young people, you will tell them tujitume. Atatoka hapa, atafika Harambee House, maybe you want something, but ile protocol, procedure na nini, I don't know. Maybe you can.
Okay, maybe just to share my brief experience how I got myself into an opportunity into banking. It was through networking, an event like this. What had happened is that the Ministry of Youth had just been created after I think the 2008 election. I know there was a conference to now put the meat on what the Ministry of Youth should be able to do and what will be the deliverables of this ministry. So I saw the advertisement, I thought, why not? Why can't I go and attend and see what this opportunity, what this conference was all about? And actually when we got there were quite a lot of opportunities because the people who came, there were no structures like this person will do this person will do this. So at random they will ask then who can take charge of the sector that will be discussing youth importation. So I offered myself. So we were able to we went, did our presentation. And among the people who are there is now like, example, a youth now steps out here and does something. And maybe there's an opportunity in Kinix. Right now, the person from Kinix is here and he gets hold of the way you have presented and says, can I have a conversation with this person? And for me, that's how I first got my banking job with Equity Bank when I was a second year. And that's how my journey into banking took off. So it is all about taking initiative. And this is something that many of us sometimes lack, whereby, you know, we want to sit back and wait for opportunities to come, which these opportunities will actually never come up. But then if we're able to take opportunities, like now we are having this conference here, I'm sure with the advertisement and the awareness that was created about this thing, this place should have been totally full, you know. We'll have a sea of humanity here for the young guys coming to tap into what might come up. But see, we are not full here. Where are the other people? Maybe they saw this and saw, this is just any other event. So they did not take the initiative to be there. So that's why I was challenging you. And from the other conversation from the lady from Ghana, she was talking about what our passions and what are our talents. How do we align ourselves in terms of being part of what is happening in matters of interest for us. Like for me, I didn't know I'll have an interaction to meet with the CEO of Equity Bank in that organization. And in fact, I even had never dreamt I'll have a chance of engaging him. But out of the presentation I did, there was an opportunity for me to talk to him, and the next thing was, come see me in my office. And from there, a second year, my banking career took off, and right now I can talk of 12 years down the line now, having gone through 3 different banks. So it is all about taking initiative. When also, I also wanted to be part of these people who will be able to give back to community in terms of maybe checking the government, putting the government in checks and balances. And see, through such opportunities, you will find it is very hard maybe for a media station to take hold of you, as in to take notice of you. But then, what opportunities did they come my way for me to position myself? When even the media stations are planning maybe forums for students, for youth, I'll get myself an opportunity to go and interact with them. And through that, you interact with the person and tell that person, you know what, I have an interest of being a leadership and governance expert in your stations. Might you have a chance? It may not suffice 2 days later, but in the fullness of time, as maybe you keep on engaging these people, one day an opportunity will come up and someone will say, are you available tomorrow? Can you come on our screen and be part of this show? Or there's this opportunity, can you write a newspaper article on the ongoing opportunities? So it's all about taking initiative, taking risks, not fearing failure, because failure is part of this game, and being quickly to dust ourselves up in terms of failure and embrace the next challenge that comes up.
Good. Maybe you can give him a mic. He introduces himself and he tells us what he's doing.
All right, like I'd already said, my name is Lemmy. My role in the financial institution I work is card products and digital products. So the way the world is going right now, like Kenix had already indicated that, the way the world is evolving, if you don't keep up with the digital trends, then you're in for a road shock. So if right now you as young people are not keeping up with these trends, and I'll maybe just ask a simple question, like he said, I also prefer to be a teacher. In terms of the digital trends we've seen, how many of you have heard about blockchain? The concept of blockchain. Can you maybe briefly tell us what it's all about? You don't have to explain, just briefly, please.
Well, it's a system of whereby in the next years or maybe very soon, we no longer be going to use the normal cash holding system, but rather we will be transferring the money through digital.
Well done. That's a very good explanation of it, but there's another answer there. There's quite a lot about blockchain that we can talk about, but we don't want to go into blockchain. I just want you to understand just the way.
In my understanding is that blockchain is just a series of storing your files and data in ledgers, in form of ledgers that keeps history of whatever you are doing on a specific system without any alteration.
Well done again. You can see there's a lot of information in the team.
Blockchain, it's a system whereby currencies or finances are not going to be used anymore. An example of it is the cryptocurrencies, the Nuru coins, that have come into market. Actually, it's digital money.
Very good. I can see there are lots of answers about the way cryptocurrencies are moving. Bitcoin. The best example of blockchain, for instance, is Bitcoin. Yep. So you have several blocks of distributed ledgers that are moving sequentially. So well done. That was just an example of where the world is moving towards. So in as much as governments may say that cryptocurrency is not good for us and everything, there are things you can't ignore. Artificial intelligence is another concept. Who's heard of it? Chatbots and all that. Who's heard of such terms? I'm just scratching the surface of where we are headed. And you as youth, if at all you're not keeping up with such trends, if at all these concepts are just appearing to you as new words and you're not bothering to find out what exactly, where is the world going digitally. So from where I sit, my job is to make sure that I develop products that fit customer need. Because if you're not addressing customer needs, then you're simply out of business. One of my key tasks is looking at what the youth want. Because in as much as our portfolios may have people of a certain age, say 45 plus. What I'm looking at is, what do the youth want? Many youth may not have a bank account. What can I develop to ensure that they transact just as somebody who has a bank account on their mobile phones, from their laptops? How do youth transact? How do I develop seamless solutions for the youth to ensure that they are not left out of the conventional banking system? That is my key role, but we'll engage on it as we proceed.
Good.